Okay, so we're going to be doing a little presentation here on figurative language. As you know, we're going to be reading Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. And so to be able to understand that fully and grasp the concept, we really need to dig into our figurative language. So here I have a little song for you guys. Okay.
Sometimes what you mean is not exactly what you say. That's figurative language, using words in different ways. Personification, alliteration, assonance, and hyperbole. Onomatopoeia, metaphor, and simile.
When Sally seems to sit somewhere separate from Sonia, or Caleb calls Chris because he's coming to California, it's called alliteration. That's what occurs when you got the same sound at the start of every word, but when you got a vowel sound that keeps sounding the same, that's a figure called assonance. Yeah, that's the same. That's what I'm trying to define by providing this example, but I cannot deny that assonance can be a handful.
Sometimes what you mean is not exactly what you say. That's figurative language, using words in different ways. Personification, alliteration, assonance, and hyperbole. Onomatopoeia, metaphor, and simile.
A simile is something that you use to compare two unrelated things with an element that's shared. My mind is like an ocean, it's as smooth as jazz, but it's only a simile if it uses like the as. A metaphor is similar, but watch out. Be careful, cause you got to leave like an as out. My mind is an ocean, my words are a river, so keep your ears open as I continue to deliver.
Sometimes what you mean is not exactly what you say. That's figurative language, using words in different ways. Personification, alliteration, assonance, and hyperbole. Onomatopoeia, metaphor, and simile.
Now if the sun's smiling down or the boat hugged the shore, that's personification, nothing less, nothing more. But with a buzz or a ding or a hiss or a roar, it's onomatopoeia that we're using for sure. Hyperbole? Man, that's like a million times harder. Take something true, then exaggerate it way farther. Now you've heard this song from beginning to the finish. Now you've got some tools to draw your literary image.
Okay, so now that we kind of have our little refresher and you kind of get the gist, now we're going to, let's check out our standards and goals for now. Okay, so we're going to be able to identify persuasive devices within informational text and apply them to our own speeches, essays, and discussions. Okay, so be ready to not only understand the persuasive devices, but to be able to use them. Okay, so here we go. Let's get right into it. Figurative language. Now, remember that's what we use to make our speeches more persuasive and more effective. Okay, so it goes beyond the literal meaning of the word, and it kind of gives the reader something more to look into, okay? It drives your point home harder, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's just practice a little. Okay, we're going to go straight into metaphor here. So, a metaphor doesn't use like or as. Your teacher has a heart of gold. Now, obviously, my heart isn't really gold. I wish it was, but it's not. So, it's just that comparison. She is also a ray of sunshine. It's saying that I'm these things that obviously I'm not, but we look into it to find the deeper meaning. So it's a figure of speech in which an object is compared to an object or action that it literally is not. Okay? So now we have simile over here. So that's like or as, a comparison that uses like or as. Your teacher is as brave as a lion. Okay? And next we have alliteration. So that's the occurrence of the same letter or sound at the beginning of closely connected words. So dark and desolate valley of despair. Okay, so that's dark, desolate, despair. You see that repetition of the D sound here. And now we'll move on to assonance here. The repetition of vowel sounds in nearby words. So go and mow the lawn. Go, mow. Obviously, we see the repetition of the O sound, the long O sound. Okay, so now let's go back here. And now that we've kind of refreshed our memories on what types of figurative language we're going to be encountering. I want you guys to group up, okay? We're going to practice this. So gather around in your tables with your groups, and we're going to practice each one of these that we just talked about, okay? I want you to come up with your own versions of figurative language, okay? And be ready to share those out. So for each one, I'm going to give you a set amount of time. Metaphor, can you come up with 3 metaphors, okay? You have 5 minutes, go. Can you come up with 3 similes? You have 5 minutes, go. 2 examples of alliteration. You have 5 minutes. Okay, and 2 examples of assonance. You have 5 minutes. And remember, be ready to share out. Okay, so now that we've shared our own examples of figurative language, we're gonna move on. So I think you guys really have the understanding. So now we're going to listen. We're not going to read it quite yet, but we're going to listen to Martin Luther King present his speech on civil rights. Okay, but before we do that, I kind of want to talk about, what do you think civil rights are? What is the civil rights movement, and are we affected today? I want to know your concerns, your thoughts. What do we know about civil rights? And I want you guys to share out, and we're going to kind of create this word web up on the board here. Okay? And who is Dr. Martin Luther King? So some of you may know what he stands for and what he did, but I want you guys to just share with me what you do know about him. Okay? And now that we've shared, we're going to go ahead and watch his speech before we read it. Okay? And now that we've watched the speech, what are our thoughts, okay? I want you guys to, this is going to be our journal entry for the day. Before you leave today, I want you to just write your prompt down. What are some of the thoughts that you have after watching I Have a Dream? Okay? And I want you to prepare to share this in the next lesson. Okay. So now we're going to have handouts. Here's your handouts of I Have a Dream. And now we've seen how he delivers it, but I want you guys to just go through and highlight the terms that are unfamiliar to you. We're going to do our paint chip vocabulary. So here's a little picture, of course. And here we go. So what goes on your paint chip? Obviously, your first square is going to be the word. Your second square will be the definition. Your next square will be the synonyms, and then the next is the sentence in the picture. Okay? And here are words today: tranquility, injustice, segregation, discrimination, and oppression. I also want you to define at least 2 words that you highlighted that you don't understand or need clarification on. Okay? And we're going to do this before we read it. Okay? And so now that we all have an understanding of figurative language and we have a background on our knowledge, let's go ahead and read the speech.